Hello viewers, welcome to your weekly State of Affairs program here on QTV. I'm your host, Aliu Sise, and I'm here with my co-host, Sidi Sise. Sidi.
Thanks so much, Aliu, for having me.
Well, viewers, in 2018, President of the Gambia, Adama Barrow, described the diaspora as the eighth region of the country. This is as a result of his recognition of the crucial role that the diaspora plays in the development of this country. I mean, just this week we had the Central Bank of the Gambia announcing that in 2021 alone, the diaspora contributed 62.9% to the GDP, equivalent to over $40 billion as remittances sent back home. And because of the importance of the diaspora, we have even seen the creation of a Directorate of the Diaspora and Migration at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Gambia, just to build or facilitate the link between the diaspora community and the Gambia government towards national development. But there's been so much talk as far as the diaspora is concerned in terms of their representation in the decision making back home. I mean, already we know over 200,000 Gambians are currently living outside the country in the diaspora. And then joining us this week to discuss more about this is Suntu Ture, who's a counselor at the Gambia's mission in the UK. Mr. Ture, welcome to the State of Affairs program.
Thank you very much, Aliu, for having me, and Mr. Sidi Sise. It's a pleasure to be here today to share ideas and views with you guys and with your viewers.
Well, it's nice. You know, we have two Sises and one Ture Kunda, so it's kind of interesting anyway. but by the way, to start with, when you talk about the diaspora, what actually constitutes the diaspora?
The diaspora, it's a constituency of Gambians that have left the source of this country for many different reasons. Some for education, pursuing higher academic education, some for, wealth or money, business, marriage, different reasons. But the word diaspora, I think, is borrowed from the Jewish settlers that settled in Europe years ago. So the Jewish diaspora became a meaningful community in the setting up of the State of Israel. So their contribution, the idea to conceive the State of Israel, came from not those who were living in the lands of Palestine, but these people living in Europe. So that idea to create a leadership, to create an economic base, became something that Africans too looked at with envy. So we too started using the word, the African diaspora. So these are people who are not living in the Gambia. Some limited to those within the European hemisphere, but some say anybody outside the Gambia, even those living here in Senegal. Some of the Sise Kundas in Senegal. So, but we would say those living far away, these are the diaspora.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ture, and thank you, Aliu. You talked about people living away, abroad, are considered a diaspora. What is the shaping dynamic of the homeland diaspora existence? The dynamics, because right now we have seen, even when Yaya Jammeh was here, the influence of diaspora in the Gambia, not only in terms of monetary, in terms of remittance, but we've seen they seems to lead in the narrative politically.
Absolutely.
Sort of militancy, you name it. We have seen a shift as far as the political base of the diaspora is considered. How would you describe it now as far as the diaspora is concerned in the context of what we call today the democracy, the rule of law in the Gambia?
That is a very heavy question. Because yes, the diaspora, in terms of our collective view, was very much centered around opposing the then regime. We were unified largely because of what entails at that time. There was a dictatorship, there was oppression of people like Mr. Sise, the media, the political class, the business community. Everybody was under some sort of a siege. So the diaspora being free from the Gambian environment, I think our political philosopher Halifa Sallah once says that the politics is like a landscape. And if there are thorns on those landscapes, it is difficult to maneuver. So we in the diaspora felt that we are not existing within that landscape called the Gambia. So we are free to provide them ideas, to provide them money, to provide them encouragement and motivation to carry on at that time. So when the change happened in 2016, coming to 2017, the dynamics, as you know, changes. People like you came back to set up businesses, and many other Gambians came back to see what they can do. Some have taken up job with central government, private sector. So it has shifted. In this 2021 election, you would have seen the diaspora dynamics also changes. It was not as vociferous and aggressive as it was in 2016, because many people like yourself who were in the media, myself and others, we've, engaged in what can we do rather than pointing fingers as you are doing wrong, you're doing wrong. We start to contribute, and many diasporans are now thinking on that line. Just last month, in September and October, I was in Norway, I was in Denmark, and many other countries engaging these diaspora communities and groups, and also meeting different organizations. For your knowledge now, many of them are now organizing to see what can they contribute instead of just the political expression of their views. So the dynamics is changing. And not long ago, Pasaliu, even last month, Pasaliu Gay, he's a young Gambian who, the artist, he passed through me. I used to run a book club in Coventry where, I bring these young people, they read books, and I will try to Africanize their thinking. So he was one of those people. His dad is a close friend of mine. So when I see him coming to Gambia to perform, you feel, I'm not a music person.
And it was a free show, by the way.
It was a free show, yeah. So it's something. So the diaspora is changing. The dynamics is changing. And Gambians should open their hearts to them, because these are people, the skill set in the diaspora is huge, it's wide. And the depth is, is there. And there is a bit of friction between those in the Gambia and those in the diaspora, because people in the Gambia, the salaries are not that fantastic. So when people come from outside, they are seen as some kind of a threat, and they sometimes, even the police also, they will see that, they are showing off, so there's that friction. So what can we do to make sure we understand each other? And as I said earlier, the Jewish diaspora played a big part in the creation of the State of Israel. And they are still strong in maintaining the State of Israel. The lobbies that they have in the US, they're very strong. When you speak negatively about Israel, the Jewish diaspora is the first to respond before Israel responds. So when you take negatively about Gambia, the Gambian diaspora should respond before Gambia responds. Most of the people in diplomatic positions outside Gambians, they hardly respond to anything negative against the Gambia. And that shouldn't be done. When you talk negatively about China, it's the Chinese ambassador in the UK that will first step out to take the bullet for China. If you speak negatively about America, it's the American diplomats that will first step out in that country to respond before their state responds. So the energy, this is what we want to see. And my encouragement to government is to look towards the diaspora, to employ people within the diaspora, within the various diplomatic service. And even the Diaspora Directorate here, I believe they should have somebody from the diaspora who is willing to take a salary cut to work within that institution, to create a holistic mindset about what the diaspora is feeling. It's not just somebody's a technocrat that can understand what somebody's feeling. Sometimes the personal experience that people live might be far better.
You talk about the issue of having Gambians opening their hearts to the diaspora community. You even talk about how some people see them as, when they come on holidays, as bluffing and all that. But having the government, in this case, the president, taking the lead in, describing the diaspora as the eighth region, what does this mean for the diaspora community?
I think it means a lot for the diaspora community. But I think the government should go a bit further. In Senegal, for example, they have diasporans who are representing them in parliament. So we should have diasporans as parliamentarians, maybe one in the US, one in the UK to start with, or one in mainland Europe as well, to 3. So we can learn from other countries. In Kenya, for example, the Kenyan government engaged their diaspora to help them create businesses, public corporations. As you said, in 2020, I think it was you or Ali who stated, in 2020 alone, diaspora remitted over 540 million. This is far more than the aids that the EU gave to Gambia. This is far more than the aid that the
That's
US...
2021, that's just last year.
No, 2021 is 774.
Exactly, yes, that's last
so I'm
year.
talking about 2020.
Yeah, 2020 is just around that figure that you mentioned. Yeah.
So the combined, what the diaspora can do will be far greater than any aid we receive from any country of this world.
2020 was $589.8 million US dollars.
Exactly. Thank you. So imagine, Sidi, we have a public corporation. NAWEC is struggling with money. Gamtel is struggling with finance issues. Ports need money to expand. Why can't government organize a forum to tell diasporans, you know what, we're going to create this pot where whoever invests this amount, $5,000, $10,000, you have 2% share or this and that share. And you will have a say in how this is run. You will have a say of who we appoint as chief executive. You'll have a say of quarterly what profit they are making, how they're managing their losses and stuff like that. We in the diaspora, we can take care of this money. People can pay monies into this because people want to have ownership of the Gambia. You know, Sidi, you know, I know, we live in the diaspora for over 20 years. Who are we in the UK? Nobody's. It doesn't matter, you've got 10 PhDs, they don't care. Mm-hmm. You are nobody. You can have a small boy, 24 years old with 2 PhDs walking around with a polo shirt. No problem. So you are nobody. But you are somebody here in this country. So sometimes the tension is that the Gambians outside feel they are achieving something, but they are nobody. In Mandinka, we have, say, Tunga Malambelong. If you are a foreigner, nobody asks about your genealogy. Nobody asks about who are you. You're just a foreigner, finish. So sometimes this frustration builds up. So that's why people go on social media, and when they see certain things not going right, they have a go because they feel good. You understand? In the UK, if I have my opinion about Boris Johnson or UK policies, they don't really care, to be honest. What about Gambian thing? Anything I express, I feel good, and some people acknowledge, you know what? So it's a win-win situation if we know how to harness the diaspora to take this country
You
ahead.
talked about a win-win situation, but we have seen since 2017, like Alu said earlier, President Barrow and his government talk a lot about diaspora. It feels like they've done a lot of the talk but not work, because we have not seen any form whereby the government of the Gambia would open up their arms and say, diasporans, come and invest. Of course, they do all the talks, but it is not followed by deeds. There has been no tax break, no incentives. If somebody comes from the diaspora want to set up a business here, half of them will just pack up and go home because of the red tape, the bureaucracy. There are a lot of tedious things that you have to go through. So actually, the president and his cabinet and his government can say diasporas are important, the aid, region, but very little has been done to absorb those diasporans, to allow them to come and give them, what they need. We don't say give them everything free, but make things easier for them so that they can bring that money and that talent and that knowledge in this country.
Yes, I think I will agree with some of your criticism, because I think what is happening is the government that the President Barrow inherited, they faced a lot of difficulties, and they faced also a lot of challenges, especially financial challenges. And these are things that the government is not talking much about. How much are they paying? Because we all know 200 and 120% of GDP, towards debt and blah, blah, blah. But the average person don't know really what does this mean. So the government should be coming out more to simplify and clarify this. The Ministry of Finance, for instance, Central Bank, for instance. So they should acknowledge that, look, we want to engage you guys, but we are having problems with this and this and this. What can you guys do? So we started it at the High Commission in London, for instance. We will go and meet these groups, diaspora groups that are existing in their mosque, in their church events, in their gatherings. We engage and interact with them. Ideally, we should organize a forum to say, okay, come, but we will need us to create a budget for that. We have to send that budget back here, and they have to be approved back here. The money has to go. So sometimes it takes a long time. So because government has to find out where there is money lying down, so we can use it to do this and do that. So the money, they have financial constraint in a lot of things. But the more they open up and, talk to us, the diasporans are willing to chip in. So I attended the event by ex-Gambian soldiers. There is nearly 500 Gambians in British Army, currently about 300. So this is a big number for a small country like the Gambia. And most of the soldiers in the UK are well paid. So they formed a charity last year, and they invited us. I went there. We engaged them, and part of my speech was, what can you do for your country? And just to last week, Thursday, we went with them to the Kainifing Hospital. They donated a lot of surgical shoes and nurses for doctors and nurses. Not long ago also, we attended, there are Gambian doctors and nurses in UK. They form an organization. They invited us. I went there with the Deputy High Commission. We engaged them, and they too are looking at ways they can help. So how many groups do we have in this way? A lot. What it takes is for government to create cabinet papers to understand that, look, these are our own nationals and they are willing to contribute, just like the Jewish diaspora is. Whether you agree with the state of Israel or not, that's beside the point. But these are people that are making a lot of difference in the lives of people in that country. So what can the diaspora do to make sure they are engaged more? Ask them, and they will engage. But I think our technocrats here in this country, they need to change. I think the technocratic cadre in Africa, they have to change. As you are talking about the red tape, everybody understands this. This is a problem. And it is the technocrats. How many politicians do we have in government, Sidi? How many people do you think are politicians in government?
Not much.
Not much. It's the president, vice president, and I think 19 cabinet ministers. So that's it. The rest are also public servants. Do you know who the director of lands is? Maybe you don't know his name. Do you know, most of these people are invisible, have only conferences and workshops on the media. But in terms of the reality, people don't know who they are. So it is supposed to be the technocrats in Africa that are supposed to sit up, tighten up their belt, understand that all of us in positions are privileged to be where we are. How many of our citizens can do better than some of us in those positions? Ask yourself that question when you wake up. So if you get into that office, somebody step up to say, I'm from the diaspora, I want to invest. You should make sure you facilitate and knock on every single door for that person to get set up. You should not create roadblocks or red tapes, as you are calling it, to frustrate people to go back. And these things happen. And these are by our technocrats, And we have fantastic, I am one of the big defenders of the Gambian public servants. We have a lot of fantastic public servants, very honest, very capable, very highly educated. But unfortunately, there is a particular number that makes things difficult for people. Sidi.
In your own opinion, why do you think anybody in the public service will do that to frustrate somebody, a Gambian in the diaspora who wants to come back and invest? What do you think are the reasons? Why would anyone do that?
I don't think they do it intentionally. But maybe, as I said, that's joint experiences. He knows and I know, and many Gambians have been in diaspora, they know. And most of the people in the public service here are trained either in US or UK, or they've been to Europe. But the issue is about culture. Work culture is very, very important. When somebody comes to your office in Europe, he knows once ever somebody comes in there, you have to, make sure you attend to that person. And then you have to create a time to do what is supposed to be done. But sometimes you have an appointment, you go, and the person who gives you an appointment, you will sit nearly the whole day. He can't see you. And if they see you, they cannot solve your problem. So they need to ask themselves, they are the experts, Alio. So they need to ask themselves, what are we not doing right? Why are delays happening? Why are people coming with business ideas and then going back without realizing those business ideas? They need to ask them, from GAIPA to the Gambia Chamber of Commerce, to all of these institutions, they need to be asking themselves these questions. We want poverty to be reduced in this country. And it can only be done by government, creating that enabling environment. Today, myself and Sidi were talking about bread shortage here. The tapalapa is the same as the French baguette. How many baguette machines can you import?
Organic bread.
Organic bread. It's more healthy. How many baguette making machine, tapalapa machine, can you bring from France and then scatter it in this country? If bread makers say we are not making bread, say no problem. The baguette, contact the baguette making. They will make bread. There will be no day without bread in this country. But if Gambians in the diaspora are willing, there are a lot of them now opening mini markets. If you're driving around, you'll see a lot of mini markets. These are by Gambians. They want to compete. We welcome non-Gambians here. We want them to come and set up. We are foreigners in other people's countries. We have, in this country, has always been welcoming foreigners, people from other countries as brothers, But we should not leave our economy in the hands of people who are not indigenous. That shouldn't be done, especially our bread basket, our food. So we need to face each other and talk to the diaspora. Government can engage the diaspora. People can come. So Gambians want to set up businesses here, but as Sidi is saying, sometimes these red tapes they exist.
Isn't not time now for government to come with a policy document, really to at least absorb the diaspora in the Gambia to invest? Because like you said about the bread, even when it comes to basic commodities, rice, sugar, oil, there are about 3, 4, or 5, individuals that are controlling this. Yeah. They have a WhatsApp group. Yeah. You go to the building industry, all these heavy machineries that are he brought here. There are a few people who does it. They have a WhatsApp group. If they choose to put cement away, they can just put cement away. Let's look at Senegal when Abdoulaye came into government.
Yeah,
he did something. It wasn't rocket science.
Yeah.
He attracted the diaspora, brought them in, open up the country, create the financial assistance, create the banks to help the diaspora to ship their money into those banks and to do the things. Yeah. That's why people turn around and say, Wada have created so many Senegalese millionaires. He didn't put money in their pockets, but he created the environment to be conducive, to give them what they need to just start up. I think it's by time.
Yeah.
Since you are part of the government, to at least, speak up and push for these reforms to happen.
Absolutely. For me, I normally go and visit these ministers. Whenever I'm around, they are our brothers. I go talk to them, give them the ideas some people are expressing in diaspora. Because whenever we meet with diaspora groups, they have fantastic ideas. They will tell us, oh, we want your minister to be doing this. They don't have access to these ministers. Because of people are afraid of social media, once you call a minister, he has to be apprehensive. Yeah. Are you going to be recording him? Because not everybody is like Sidi and you who are not afraid of the media, but a lot of Gambians. And I think it's a culture issue. Because during the IJMS time, we have to understand that culture is still with public servants and even some of our politicians. People were afraid of the journalists and the media. Here, even though the public servants are free to come to your studios and talk about whatever they want, so long as they are not inciting or whatever, nothing will happen to them. Their job will be secure. But how many of them will want to talk? Not many.
Probably they are hiding something.
They are not hiding anything. No, it's just the culture.
Listen, as much as the culture may be there, but soon too, it wasn't difficult to get you here.
No.
To come and talk to us. No. And I'm sure this is not the first time you've appeared before the platforms here. So these ministers or these technocrats in their offices, we reach out to them just for them to come and talk to us what they're doing.
Yeah.
They have been assigned by us to do our job.
That's right.
So we need to know what they're doing. But some of them, hardly. There are ministers who have never appeared on any platform to even talk about what they are doing.
That is wrong.
And I think for President Barrow, if you are listening, you need to turn the thing around.
Yeah,
because people who are in office must come and be accountable to people.
You see, the president, we have a very good man as a president who is miles away from what we used to ensue President Jammeh. President Barrow decentralized a lot of things. The ministers now have powers. Most of things, the State House was cluttered in the IJMS time. every insensitive files, everything, ports, everything was within State House. But President Barrow now gave things back to his cabinet.
The responsible institutions.
Responsible institutions. So it is up to those responsible institutions to sit up and help the president to administer things easily and effectively. So those ministers, if there are bread issues, the minister responsible or the line director or whatever, they should be talking to the public to understand what is this. You know, they could even say to Gambians, you know, let's go back to our Chura Gerte. You understand? I'm not recommending this, but it happened in Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah.
You understand? You know, Equatorial Guinea is a dictatorship. It's not a good example. But the taxi drivers threatened that they're going to go on boycott for whatever. And the minister told them, look, if you boycott, we will withdraw your license. There will be no taxis. They thought he was joking. They boycotted and he withdrew the license of all taxis and they imported buses and minivans and everything. So the taxi drivers now struggle to go back on the road. So you cannot sort of say, I'm not going to do this and put government to ransom. Nobody should be allowed to put government to ransom. But then government too should talk to Gambians outside, create the enabling environment. I know there is the history of the Gambia Commercial and Development Bank, which collapses because of this is a Kundan Kamara Kundas took loans and went married 3-4 wives and never these things happen.
I mean that's possible.
No, it did happen.
Yeah, of
How
course.
did the Commercial and Development Bank collapse? People refuse to be.
You know, if you want to go into that, that's quite a lot. But I think Suntu, of course, we have seen the Commercial and Development Bank. It did tried, but it did not succeed.
Yeah.
But what we are actually saying now, even whereby the government will not create a national bank, okay, that more far-fetched.
Yeah.
But what they can do is to ask diasporans that come and invest.
Yeah.
You know, you say, or for those who want to invest in bakery, we'll give you tax exemption of a year.
Absolutely.
We'll give you a free license.
Yeah, land, we can
even allocate you land.
Yes.
I met somebody who came from England.
Yeah.
You know, they were here for about a year and they started a big bakery on the Jabang Highway, but they had to close it down.
Yeah, I've seen that place.
Yeah, you've seen the place. They had to close it down.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to put the bread lower, but you know, most of these bakeries they have a WhatsApp group.
The cartel,
so they can actually, you know, put you down.
Yeah.
They
will not allow some of the shops to take supplies from you.
That's what it was.
It's a cartel.
It's a cartel. Yeah. Because Sundu, who has a bakery, Ture, the shop owner around the corner is another Ture. The shop owner around is another Ture. So they have that network.
Yeah.
You know, so definitely, you know, there need to be more.
Yeah.
You know, for the government to do, because we can wake up one day we'll have no rice in our homes.
Yes.
Or
absolutely.
no cooking oil, or no onions.
Absolutely.
So definitely, I think this should be a wake up call.
Yeah, like you said, it's very important, the issue of having the diaspora coming back home to invest. I mean, we have seen most of them, perhaps, I mean, they all have their own priorities. Some people prefer, you know, sending in vehicles to sell, others will buy land and be renting, others will be investing in some other productive sectors. But like I said, I mean, we have seen the creation of the Diaspora Directorate at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is actually meant to help facilitate that consultative meetings between the diaspora and the Gambia government to help address some of the issues you are raising about the people want to come back and invest, but because of some certain procedures, I mean, they got frustrated and go back. What do you think will be the short-term measures by the directorate to ensure that these issues are addressed internally and quickly to have the diaspora coming back to invest?
Aliu, the Diaspora Directorate is something headed by Musa Kamara. It's, I think it's a very good idea that was conceived. And they also travel. They regularly write to us in the embassies, and they, travel to meet different stakeholders, European administrations, governments, and stuff. I think they need to, first of all, they need to work closely. I think they do, but more closer with the Ministry of Finance. Because everything is about money. What, as Sidi is saying, what, avenues, what opportunities can they create to say tax breaks? Tax breaks is at a cost, okay? If you're giving tax breaks, it means government is not making anything for this period. What can the Ministry of Finance, along with the central bank, say, okay, fine, 3 years tax break, How are we going to fund that? And then the directorate can sell that to the diasporans, because you have to sell something to them. You have to entice them. You understand? It's like Masane Sise when he wants to marry the woman.
Yeah.
You know, I know he ended up dying, but you have to entice. And as you said, some come without being enticed. You know, like the gentleman who opened the bakery on the Jabang.
Yeah.
You know, and then you end up finding out the running cost is very high, and unfortunately, we don't like saying it, but there are cartels.
Yeah.
Rice importing cartels, onion importing cartels, you know, and these people are very powerful. Extremely powerful. You have somebody in an office and these people approach you. Very few can withstand the force of the dialysis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is why I'm saying the technocrats are crucial in making sure poverty is eradicated in this country. Because most of these business people, it is their doors they will knock. You know, and they knock it in ways that is difficult for you to resist. What do we create? The diaspora can create an avenue, an alternative avenue. And the ports also. I think our ports, you know, if clearing containers and things like that are easier, a lot of diasporans will be interested. Because I've seen a lot of people started this shipping and they collapse. You know, they will invest a lot of money in shipping containers, but the time it takes to clear it, you know, the cost of this and that, before you know, the loans that they've taken, they can't repay. They're out of business.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
So
viewers, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Suntu. Well, viewers, you're reminded you're watching State of Affairs here on QTV. We are broadcasting from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue. I am Aliu Sise with my co-host Sidi Sise. And our guest this week is Suntu Ture, Councillor at the Gambia's mission in the UK. We'll go for a short break and then we'll be back soon.
Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, viewers. Welcome back from that short break. You're watching State of Affairs, your flagship political program here on QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and we are broadcasting from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue, just behind the QCell main building. I am Aliu Sise with my co-host Sidi Sise, and our guest tonight is Suntu Ture, as I said, councillor at the Gambia's mission in the UK. I mean, we talk about the importance of the diaspora, some of the challenges they faced as far as, you know, trying to invest back home, even though we have to commend them for really investing a lot in the country. Like I said, looking at the remittances alone this year, almost 40-point-something billion is quite a lot of money. But now let's look at the issue of representation. I mean, you think it's high time that they are equally represented in some of the key decision-making places?
Absolutely, Aliu. I will just go back a bit. The diaspora, CDCC is, I would say, second generation diasporans. We are now, according to my observation, we are now in the fourth generation. Meaning we have people that went have kids, those kids now have kids, and those kids are now having kids.
So CD is second.
No, I'm putting him across according to his age.
You know, he's our uncle, so we have to
No, from his age bracket.
Okay.
Well, remember, there are people that went to, you know, France.
The Ablai Jobs, the first generation.
The Ablai Jobs are the first generation. So you have to understand that people are well
the
settled.
James Bahums.
The James Bahums, you know.
And Malika.
Yes. You know, there are many of them,
Many of them, yes.
that are, you know, I mean, most of them came back to retire home. But we are in the third to fourth generation. So this is a long period of settlement out there without a voice, without their voice being, you know, heard within the administrative channels. So I think it's high time that they are giving MPs, you know, whichever way they're going to do that, whether it's going to be independent candidates, whether they will affiliate themselves with political parties, because I think we have a vibrant party support base in the diaspora. All the political parties are represented. CD and Co were the Doys, you know, and others. They used to be my battle-hardened,
Yes.
you know, opponents, you know. So, these are all things, questions we can ask. So the diaspora can supplement. Of course, I spoke to some of our politicians and they are saying, oh, but they are not giving this directly to government. They are buying, as you said, building houses, sponsoring school fees, somebody's wedding, somebody's this. But these are monies that are spread within our economy.
Exactly.
It helps foreign currency and stuff. Yes, they are not giving it directly to government to say, President Barrow, you and your government, this is a grant. Yes, we understand that. But they are making the tax collection and other things, But then,
the bottom line is these are monies that have been spent in the Gambia.
In the Gambia, yeah. And also they can also be given to government. Yeah. As I said, if they say NAWEC shares are open, people invest in NAWEC to be government partnership, PP. What do you call it? Is it PPE or
public-private partnership?
Partnership, yeah, PPP. So the diasporans can invest. You understand? But then they will have a say as to how GAMTEL or NAWEC is run. Because we should not privatize all of our institutions. I believe in that, PPP, that public-private partnership. So diaspora income, recognize them, entice them, and then create the conducive environment for them.
I keep going back to Senegal as a reference. Because we have seen the transformation of that society.
Yeah.
And we must fall back to Wada creating a middle class.
Yeah.
He didn't do that just by sitting at the palace.
Yeah.
He used the diaspora to create a middle class. And we have seen Macky Sall as well is driving that middle class. You have about 20%, the last time I looked, of Senegalese are considered middle class.
Yeah.
I mean, the diaspora remittance coming into the Gambia could be also used to create that class.
No, already in the Gambia city, most middle class in the Gambia is that.
But the government,
their wives are here. They
driving force.
Semester wives.
Exactly. Yeah.
We don't want the semester wife. We just
no. You're talking about middle class.
Yeah, we're talking about
those people are middle class.
You see,
why do you think all these Sekunda girls want to be married to a semester?
Exactly.
No,
So
middle class. The issue right here, Suntu, is if you talk about what we've seen in the Gambia for the longest time, you have seen the elites, the rich.
Yeah, I understand.
They don't, let's be frank here.
Yeah.
Their kids are not even going to schools in the Gambia.
Absolutely.
Any money they have is sipped out. They are buying houses in California, LA,
everywhere.
And all. Yeah. But the middle class are spending their money here.
They
are buying their houses in Dongoro, Felenkoto, building up,
No, Dongoro, you mean the village?
And their kids are here, they're spending, they're buying their cars. I mean, we need to do that. And that can only be done when we tap into, the diaspora.
Absolutely. So, I mean, see, Abdullah Wad, because I went to Dakar 2012 to see some of the different things that Wad is doing at the time. And I think the opportunity he uses also was the OIC.
Yes. Yeah.
And Gambia too, where the OIC is going to transform most of these avenues, expanding the roads and many other things. The middle class, they want to live, a decent, prosperous life standard. So government has to be able to inject that energy to tell the diasporans, you are welcome. To the Diaspora Directorate in Foreign Affairs, my suggestion is for them to even create a welcoming day. For example, flights are coming. Send some few beautiful ladies and young men, dressed neatly with water, sandwich, biscuits. Welcome your brothers.
At the airport. Make them feel home.
This will create...
Like they do for tourists.
They do for tourists.
Exactly.
Not that, the hotels do it for tourists, but not...
That's what I mean. The hotel does for tourists.
But the Diaspora Directorate can create a fund. Tell the Minister of Foreign Affairs, look, create a small budget for me. Not every single flight, but you create, selectively.
Exactly.
Welcome them. And then create that faster way of clearing. In Europe, once you have a British passport or European passport, your queue... a faster exit.
And the problem here is if you come back from the diaspora, even a mobile phone.
It's five mobiles.
5 mobiles. I mean, those are things that for me.
5 mobiles, they allow you, and I think an iPad or something. But even that, let them communicate and talk. What I am seeing from our institution is there's lack of communication. They are not talking. They are not communicating. Why? Talk. People want to listen. The diasporans, You know, they want to listen. They are not enemies of this country. You know, because if they're not communicating, the diaspora will now be assuming. And when you go on social media, this is the major problems. People are assuming this is what they are doing wrong, whilst they are not doing anything wrong. It's just that they are not communicating. They are not communicating. You know, welcome the diasporans. You know, the custom officers down there, the GRA guys, the, you know, SIS guys, all the groups that are working there. You know, be nice to them. Exactly. Somebody might just give you a $20 or $30 for being nice to them. You don't have to beg him. You don't have to try to, you know, corner them, harass them. You know, just because they have six mobile phones. Be nice. I mean, so that's the culture. That culture part I'm saying, CD. I'm insisting on it because people have tips in America.
Yeah,
they tip people because you are nice to them. Here, people are hostile to you because they think you will want to pay off, buy your way out. No, just be nice. Use the alternatives.
I mean, Mr. Toure, I sometimes wonder if the government have empathy for the diasporans. Because you are aware, and I'm sure when I bring this up, you'll agree with me. For the last many years, you have seen so many diasporans have lost money in terms of purchasing land, Aliu.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of money, millions of dollars have gone down the drain by brothers who work so hard, sisters, mothers, uncles and aunties, who somebody sits, you know, on Kairaba Avenue, pretend to run an estate agent and just, you know, scam their money. And government is aware of this. And we know, I mean, there is a law in this country, the 1994 Act, Land Act, the 1992 Land Act, that state land ownership is here. What is stopping the government? You know, for example, you know, go in the Sanyans and work with the community of Sanyang and take land, compensate the people of Sanyang or the landowners, because we have this traditional land ownership, compensate them and demarcate those lands into plots and then get the diaspora to genuinely get this land, even not at market value, but lesser than market value. I mean, you are actually creating, you know, diasporans, you know, pumping their money in this country, creating jobs, those constructions. You know, so definitely I think the government really could have done better, knowing fully well these are brothers and sisters who are struggling day in, day out and losing money when that money could have stayed in this country.
Yeah, you're absolutely right in the sense that there are a lot of cases of people being duped, swindled, scammed, whatever you call it. And this is what I'm saying. It's not just the government. Government might be empathic, but I'm saying their communication lines sometimes are problematic. And the Ministry of Lands and those who controls these estate agents, I think, are late. You know, they have to digitalize this land ownership system. The alcalos should not be able to sign off a property twice without realizing.
10 times.
You live here, so you may.
I think now you're getting to the point. It's not just about having the government going to Sanyang and taking lands and selling to diaspora, but try to get regulation in place that can help you monitor.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Once that is in place, then all these real estate developers, I mean, wouldn't be the advantage of people.
Yeah, there are some stories of these real estate developers who are big men and driving big cars.
By the way, not all of them.
Some of them are really terrible.
Exactly.
At, you know, as I say, you know, selling lands that they have already sold, and people pay money and they are refusing to cooperate because they know once you come from UK, you have only 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So they can waste your time.
In 3 weeks, you can search for them. You can't find them.
You understand? So government need to hear the Diaspora Directorate. They have to build up all those complaint systems from the diasporans. So once people know this is an avenue for them to complain, you will be relevant to them and try to solve their problems. I'm going in 3 weeks, but my land that Aliu Cisse sold to me is this and that and that. They took up your case, identify a lawyer for you, and they can follow up. Not physically. I think
it's important. Already, there's a website developed by the Directorate just to ease that access. You know, Gambians can always, reach out to all the, foreign missions if they have any complaint, any problems.
I think they can always. So we have given our inputs. We always give them our inputs in developing their policies. But as Sidi is saying, not only but ordinary Gambians too, Aliu, can be a little bit terrible, because we have cases of Europeans. They will come here, build a nursery school for people. We don't want to name names, but we have all those on our files. They build nursery schools to say help kids. They will say, okay, I have 3 teachers. They will be paying for these teachers. Only for the guy running that school to evict all those kids, move his family in and make it a house. You understand? God. And these people will be struggling to take that property from you, and they can't. They will come here for 2 weeks, battling with you, with the police, and until they go back. So Gambians really are doing a lot of unpleasant stuff as well to some Europeans who genuinely come here to assist. I know there are some tourists that come and do stuff that we don't like, but there are some also are moved by the humanity. And in Brikama, in Lameng, it's rampant. People build, things to say help the poor, and they move their wives and kids and family.
Interesting.
So these are happening.
Exactly. We're running out of time. Let's now move on to the issue of diaspora voting. We know, even though you don't vote directly, but you have huge influence as to the outcome of any election in this country. You have your families here, you send in your remittances. Obviously, you control, what they do. Diaspora voting, what's your take on this? Still, the diaspora cannot vote in this country.
Yeah, I think...
those who are outside those who travel to come back, they can obviously vote.
No, it's expensive to travel to come back to vote.
Yeah.
It's expensive to travel to come back and register. So, but I'm thinking by the 2026 elections, maybe all the technicalities and the finance, because it's all boiled down to finance. I think for this 2021, it was the monetary constraint, because it's expensive too. Because we have to realize that Gambians live in different cities. You have to create few centers, and you have to take these IEC guys.
Aside from the monetary, were we even ready for diaspora voting? It's one thing to have the money.
No, I think the commitment. The commitment was there.
Yeah,
the commitment was there.
I don't think we had the laws in place.
Yes, that's right. So, no, but the National Assembly might be able to enact something. But I think the money too was a problem. And I think they should be ready by 2026, because it's important for people's voices to be heard. Whatever voice that is, because the moment people speak, whether they cast their ballot, their marble, or whatever they do, they feel good about it, and they are okay with it. And the diaspora situation should be handled, as we said, with openness and with diplomacy of the highest level, because there are a consequence that might have a security connotation, because they have the capability to destabilize any African country. Buhari and co, they acknowledge that. The Lekki, protest was engineered by the Nigerian diaspora and the celebrities within the country, the comedians. The soldiers have to kill how many people? Nearly 14 or so. So allowing them to have their say is very important, because national security is the bedrock of any country. So to be able to allow them to express their opinion, to decide, it's 140,000 Gambians outside, according to rough estimates. So out of that, maybe 60,000 may cast their votes, because also there are a lot of people who can make noise, but how many people will choose a day off to go and vote is also another issue. But just enfranchise them, give them the opportunity to vote. So we are all behind it, and we are working with government solely before the 2026 presidential election. I don't know whether Sidi will be a candidate.
Hopefully, don't be surprised. So,
not at all.
Well, from the look of things, are you really optimistic that this can happen?
Yes, I'm very, very optimistic, because we were working hard. Remember the TRRC came to UK. We hosted them from the embassy. Myself, Mr. Njai and others, we went around with them in London, in Birmingham, in Manchester, and Gambians were happy to come and meet these people. The CRC, the Constitutional Review, we went around with them all over. And then we ourselves organized another forum with Gabriel Fall and others in London and in Birmingham. So, diasporans are ready to be engaged, but government has to create those avenues to talk to them regularly. And the diplomats outside also should also be engaging. Sometimes you go to an event, they might not, respond to you positively, but these are historical friction between government and diasporans. It is our job to build up that trust. And I could safely say for us in London at the mission, all the staffs, we've, even if somebody passed away, we attend the funeral.
You talk about something very important. You go to events, sometimes people don't welcome you.
Yeah.
How is the impact of the Gambian society and politics on the diaspora?
I think he could buttress more on that. I think it at the moment
politics.
At the moment is similar to what's happening here. I've seen people not talking to people because they are from different political parties. You know, that is happening also in the diaspora. I have lost tons of friends, tons, when I mean hundreds, you know, who believe that because I have changed my political opinion about a particular political party, they don't want to talk to me. That's fine.
I mean,
you know. So and there are others like me who goes through that.
Quickly there. I mean,
just quickly say that we have less than
we talk about dictatorship and all that.
Yeah.
Can you look at diaspora? Some diasporans are dictators. because Mr. Toure chooses to support a particular political grouping, you just want to do away with him. Or you go on your Facebook and insult him.
Those things happen. So this is what I'm saying, that their voice, their representation is important. With all of, you know, we are maturing as a democrat. We are only how many years of independence? 55 years or so. So we are still learning. Our old norms are with us. You know, so in gelling that with modern realities are fine. Even politicians in this country are thinking like they are heads of tariqas. They are not seeing themselves as head of political parties.
Finally, let's look at the issue of, you know, the deportation of course, failed asylum seekers in the diaspora. I mean, what do you think the government should do? But first, your take on it. In under a minute, because we're running out of time.
The deportation issue is a very sensitive matter. And government, I think the President Barrow's government has done very well to be able to negotiate with the EU guys to understand the plights of our young people. In as much as most of the young people who want government to come out and say everything, but diplomacy is two-way.
Yes, two-way.
You know, the Europeans, their electorates are listening. Our electorates are listening. So if Gambia dictates to Europe, what do you think the European electorates will? They will vote out that government. So sometimes they will agree to stuff that we cannot come out and say. Sometimes, you know, we will sort of understand their feelings without us also coming out to challenge them, like the UK is trying to threaten. Within my years in the Gambia High Commission, UK has only deported less than 5 people from 2017 to now. Who knows that? You know, most people will voluntarily come by themselves. So Gambia government currently, I think their, you know, understanding with the EU is very good. Of course, Germany and others are a little bit aggressive and impatient. But we are we just came out of a dictatorship, and I think the EU will understand that most of these young people, we don't have the capacity to absorb them, you know, because of, you know, our limited financial resources.
Thank you so much, Suntu Toure, Councillor at the Gambia's mission in the UK. Thank you so much for coming on the State of Affairs. We quite appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Well, viewers, I'm afraid with that we come to the end of this episode of this week, State of Affairs. I was your host, Aliu Sise, with my co-host, Sidi Sise. And our guest this week was Suntu Toure, a councillor at the Gambia's mission in the UK. And we are discussing about issues relating to the diaspora. As we understand, currently over 200,000 Gambians are living outside the country. And, you know, their contribution to socio-economic development of this country cannot be underestimated. We hope you enjoy the program. Do watch the repeat on Sunday at 10 a.m. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.